with the Big Orange Heart charity, mental health charity, series of webinars where we talk about how to keep sane in crazy times. It's always valid, but even more so in recent times. And today is particularly exciting because we've got Cory Miller with us, and I can't wait to. We got quite caught up chatting earlier, so much so that we nearly missed the, let's go live moment. It's 5 o'clock, at least 5 o'clock here for us. So I can't wait to learn from Cory because he's got a lot to talk about. But I am going all over the place already. Let's introduce ourselves. And let's start from Jan, actually, who have I guessed last. Jan, Absolutely. Who are you? Tell us, who are you?
I'm just a random dude from Germany. No, just kidding. I am a Cloudways Maverick together with Picha and also Lee, who we are missing. But Lee just became a dad 1.5 or 2 weeks ago. So he definitely deserves the time with his little baby boy. And I host the WordPress the WP Agencies Summit, not naming WordPress for licensing terms here. And the Virtual Summit for WordPress Agencies is coming up in October again, on October 12th.
And then I'm going to tell you who I am because I want our guest to be the last because he's the best. And my name is Picha Neri, and I am a design and UX consultant. I am also a Cloudways Maverick together with the wonderful Jan Koch and Lee Matthew Jackson, who's a father again. How wonderful. But he is so much better than me at doing the intros because he is like a real DJ, so super organized. And as I was saying, today I am truly excited, kind of childlike excitement, because we've got Cory Miller here, who's a huge protagonist in the sort of WordPress community especially, but entrepreneurship at large. And I'll let you, Cory, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Hey, Jan and Picha. I was having a blast in the pre-comments to this. And so I'm going to be sending you a calendar invite because I just want to hang out with you guys every week and have fun. Because Picha, you've already redefined my new identity. After I founded a company called iThemes in 2008, and I sold the company, and we were acquired by Liquid Web in 2018. And you're like, okay, so are you just like a man of leisure? And so we started brainstorming how I could find a small island to own, and we determined financially I had to qualify that it's a small island off of Scotland, and it's likely very, very cold. But that should be where I should be calling in from today. But yeah, I started a blog in 2008, started using WordPress, and eventually wanted to learn web design. I'm not a developer by background, and wanted to tweak my own blog design. And so I released some free themes and used that momentum that came in from doing just a side hustle with WordPress. And eventually in 2008, as I mentioned, started this company called iThemes and rode that amazing WordPress changed my life wave for 10 plus years. In 2019, left the company and most sadly, my team there. I've still got amazing friends there running the show, doing an amazing job. And now I'm on my next chapter of life. But WordPress has changed my life, and I'm pumped to be here today to talk about mental health and all things entrepreneurship and talk about this island, Picha.
I think that all you need to do to get that amazing island with Caribbean-like beaches in the sense of the color of the sand and of the sea, all you need to do is shift your temperature, shift your relationship with temperature. That's all you need to do. And then you will have an absolutely amazing place. I am all for the island in Scotland for you, Cory. I think we are, I think we're onto something here.
You two are invited to this island.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the Wim Hof method so that I'm shifting my water. Anyway, let's not go. But it's quite good for mental health, actually. I think it's something that we should talk about, definitely, what the physical environment does for our mental health. But I digress. Anyway, so as we were saying, you may not have the island in Scotland yet, but you do have already a kind of island, and it's not warm either, because you came up with this amazing concept a while ago, the iceberg of life, that I bet lots of people want to know more about, because it's such a fascinating and wonderful metaphor, and it works. It just makes complete sense. So tell us about it. And I kind of feel that also it's so relevant these days, because we are all very busy editing our lives for public consumption. Therefore, and also plus the crazy year that we've all had. So I think it's very relevant.
I was, I got to a point, it was 2015, and I had applied to WordCamp Denver and thought, you know what, it's time to share some things that have gone on in the background, not the edited part of my life, like you put so elegantly, and decided to share, like, these are some things I've wrestled with as an entrepreneur. I think too often we share the glossy, perfect type ideal image. I still do it, by the way. I don't curate all of my stuff, and I don't think we should put all of our baggage and things that we're dealing with online. Those should be shared in private with either licensed professionals or dear trusted friends. And the iceberg was really how the bulk of my entrepreneurial career, even more. I think entrepreneurship even emphasizes more this isolation. Now, appropriately, COVID, right? This pandemic, there's the real epidemic and pandemic is the isolation. Is we're social creatures. We need people. And so it was just a way to showcase what I had felt like I had been living in my life and as an entrepreneur, where, I shared a lot publicly, and I was trying to be the most personal person in WordPress. But yet there was so much stuff happening underneath the surface that I didn't really share with even my closest loved ones. Even my parents didn't know some things were going on. My marriage at the time was crumbling, not in 2015, but in 2010. And this is a way to kind of show 5 years since all the stuff that I talk about with the iceberg had happened. There's new stuff, by the way, that's happened underneath the iceberg since then, but I haven't shared publicly because I'm not trying to just use social media as therapy. I want to use my platform however I can, my message, for positive, good change. And if I share my story and parts of it, it's to help others feel empowered to seek and get help, to seek out trusted friends to share their life with, to know what's underneath the iceberg, and to walk with, so that you're not alone.
I find that so important, because there are so many things to unpack about this, because social media has completely changed us. I mean, I sometimes watch shows from, say 2007, and we weren't addicted yet. We didn't have all this. So one of the many things that happen is that also we constantly compare ourselves with others, and we constantly find ourselves failing. That is natural. So to hear someone like you, who, anybody who's ever worked with WordPress knows what iThemes is. So to hear it from someone like you, that actually, I've had a really hard time with, in a moment when maybe everybody, including you, was thinking, oh, he's living the dream. He's having this amazing things, so much success, everything that anybody could ask for. So actually to find out that, it wasn't all that easy. It's so important, because I think it's the comparison part where we constantly are there finding ourselves failing under so many respects is soul crushing, absolutely soul crushing.
Yeah.
Well, too often we compare ourselves to someone's edited, as you mentioned, image online, and even if it's not intentional. But what I wanted to do is say, like, it doesn't look glossy. It's messy. Life is messy. And particularly two themes when I shared and have been sharing for the last 5 years is depression. I continually, mine is thankfully not severe, but a low grade type that I found out now, low grade type depression. And then the other thing I share is I was going through a divorce. Most people I hid that from, mostly for good reason. They didn't need to see into my personal life, but that these things happen. Like, everything wasn't the glossy veneer that it might have seemed back then. that real life is actually like this. I think we live too much masquerading around with masks and and that's just not it. And then we struggle, like you said, we see these things on either social media or whatever else, and we think that's what we should be and tear ourselves up about it. And I think that's just BS. And so I was tired of living that, wanted to share open, I want to empower people. I want to also, part of my mission in life is to erase and obliterate the stigma of mental health. I think 2020, if there's good things that come out of it, which I think there is that we can push past the stigma and say, like, this is not good for us to be isolated, to not have the warmth of a hug, to be able to share our lives with another human being we can trust. So I think COVID actually could be partly pushes past this stupid stigma that still is around, and that we can seek the proper help we need. Yesterday I met with my counselor. Today I met with my coach.
It's an ongoing journey for sure.
Ongoing.
Because also another thing that I think is so important that people understand is that it's supposed to happen. Contrast and pain and suffering to a point. I mean, you don't want to live your life like that, but it is kind of normal because it's what makes you progress. It's what makes you grow. So without that, you don't know what you don't want, which is also important. You can't grow, you can't progress. So it's normal. You should almost embrace, any type of crisis is you're going to come out the other end and you're probably going to come out better. But
sorry to interrupt, Picha. I think the most important thing from my experience is that it's very easy to fall into this negative spiral that emotions tend to amplify themselves. Once you really give into them, it's hard to get out of this negative thought spiral, if you will. So when you're dealing with situations where things are going badly and you feel frustrated about a project going south or whatever, or some private life stuff, which some people might actually have a private life, then I think it's really important to be aware that these things happen and just take active countermeasures against that.
We are not meant to live in isolation. We are not meant to live this life, this journey alone. The reasons why humans are where we've advanced to have this communication, invented this incredible communication where you're a continent apart from me and I can talk to you. Until I live on get my island in Scotland, by the way, Picha. But we're not meant to live.
That's gilded isolation. That's a golden cage. That's fine.
We're meant to live in tribes, in community with each other. This is why I love being a trustee and supporting the mission of a big orange heart, because we're not supposed to do this. Like, COVID has exacerbated an already existing terrible problem with our race, our human race. And I was thinking as you're talking, Jan, like, as entrepreneurs, this is what life looks like. It's just a roller coaster. Now, entrepreneurship exacerbates the human condition, which is mostly like this. Entrepreneurship, even more so, we've got more responsibility and things like that. And so when you're on this roller coaster, I mean, as humans, we progress to this part of day and age, right? Because we've lived in tribes, in community, but we tend to, specifically in America, we've got this problem with this rugged individualism that I've heard it called, where we think, no, I can put everything on my shoulders. I'm Superman. I got this, or Wonder Woman, And the reality is, like, that's what I was trying to do. And we have this superhero complex syndrome where we think we should take everything when the tough gets going. We think, let's shoulder all this by ourselves. And then we end up like me, face down on the pavement and being drugged. When we decide we don't think we need anybody else. We don't need the tribe. We don't need the community. And, that's what part of my message is. Like, that is not how humans should exist on the face of the earth. It's not how we thrive.
And that's why the iceberg of life metaphor is so great. I'm going to share, because there's such a nice illustration for it. So if my computer lets me, I'll share it. Oops. Not happening straight away. I'm having, we used in here
Let me share.
Yeah, why don't you
Let me
share
start
it?
the screen share.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
One
you.
sec.
It's still really hot here in Spain, and my computer is still playing up when it doesn't like the heat. Macs are temperamental.
So this is the Iceberg of Life. Cory, walk us through this, please.
I want to give great credit to Joshua Wald, who illustrated this for me, and I'm so thankful. So the top is how, like, when you talk, Picha, like the edited part of our life, that's what everybody sees. And I'm very, very good at this. I can make a great living at just curating my own public image. It's sunshine and success. Look at the little penguins. Oh, I'm going to slide down this and jump into the water. Everything is awesome, which is the theme song from the Lego movie, which I'm a big fan of. And so is my son, Callaway. So this top part is what we curate for the public. It's our public relations side of things. But the reality, and I'm not saying we should take the bottom and put it up at the top necessarily, but I'm saying this is the way we kind of live, so that my parents, for instance, in 2010, when I called them and said, I'm getting a divorce, they were shocked because I had just shown them the top, right? Most people in my life had just seen all the good things that you were talking about, Picha, earlier and introducing me. At the time in 2010, which is where I share, my good friend Lisa Sabin Wilson had asked me to co-author WordPress All-in-One for Dummies. I was, a commercially published author. We had hit $1 million in revenue at that time, but below the surface is what really, this is the full picture. This is not the picture I think you should share with everyone. I only share mine to be empowering, and that it's in the past that I've healed from these things, that I've worked on things in private with trusted people and professionals. But that below is what typically lurks. Now, Joshua did an amazing job at the bottom. You see this little thing kind of reaching up, grabbing the,
looking at it even looking at it makes you feel, I want my mummy. And my mummy is so far away because she's in Italy and I haven't seen them since Christmas, which I know is not a long time for others, but because of the recent crisis, then it is. And, it's hard. It's harder these days, definitely.
And that's one of those things that we all have to deal with, Peter. That's a brilliant example that, first of all, it takes courage to share these things, and Cory, kudos to you for being so open about this. But also, it's a nice reminder of when we're dealing with people, they all have stuff going on. So why not always be kind when you're talking to people? And if somebody's stepping on your toes, still be kind, because you might not know what a bad day they had.
So true, Jan. This could also be a picture of empathy. This could be an illustration of why we should be kind to others, that we don't know. Someone honks our horn at us in traffic, is rude to us in a grocery store, and you never know what they're struggling with underneath the surface. Like, all of us have we all have something going on. There's people today that have shown up that have some of the things that's really pulling them down, at the bottom there. I guarantee you, any group we could ever be a part of has something going on. Like, at the time, you might say it's not as worse as some, it's just this today. And you're like, well, that's part of your iceberg, though. Yeah.
And actually, regarding that, in association of ideas with the generally negative effect that social media can have, although social media can also have a very positive effect. But I remember one specific episode about what you were saying, Jan, that where Sarah Silverman, who for non-Americans is a very famous stand-up comedian and actress, and all around amazing woman, very funny, very sharp. So of course, as she's a woman, she attracts a lot of flack for existing. But so she got a really horrible tweet from someone who wrote something really, really horrendous to her, and what she did was amazing. So she went to see his profile, checked out his profile. She thought, okay, I think this guy has got serious issues. And today he just saw me and he just found. And so she wrote back to him something along the lines of, I think that this might be happening to you. Is it? And if so, can I help you in some way? Literally like this. And he went, Yeah, in fact, he had the trouble. I do not remember the details of it, but as it turned out, then she helped him turn his life around, and they're now best friends. And it all started from him saying something horrendous to her on Twitter. So, but she put herself in his shoes and thought, oh my God, if someone can be that nasty to me, that means that they really hate themselves. And that was what came out. I was like, oh, this is so nice. It's, I thought it was a really incredible, and it made me think of that, Jan, when you were saying, you just never know why people react in a certain way to you and what they have got going on.
Yeah, what are the dominoes that have fallen in that person's life to have that reaction at that moment in time? It brings me back to in like 2014. I think it was 2014. We had we got hacked at iThemes, and mostly people were and we were public about it. We disclosed it, so we're trying to fix things immediately. Within, I want to say, 24 hours or less that we did that. And there was one person that was so horrific and vile. It was just vomiting on us and calling us everything. And it was bad. It was the point I thought to myself, if this person was in front of me, I would try to punch them so hard that they'd fall back. But we tried to handle it. We just kind of close off some of that troll and ogre part of what the internet allows us to be sometimes. I want to say 3 or 4 months later, that same person emailed me directly, personally, and said, I'm sorry. There was these things happening in my life, and that just triggered me, and I apologize. And I was so taken aback. One, the strength of that person to be able, and humility of that person to come back and apologize. But also, to your point, you don't know what has dominoed in someone's life. And I give such good kudos to Sarah for that incredible strength she had. And I don't know if I always have that.
Yeah, that is such an inspiring story. I remember one client or one customer who also would just send support tickets for the sake of keeping us busy. That's what it felt like. And whatever we did, it was wrong. And he always knew something better, and he pointed out the next mistake and the next mistake. And again, it was frustrating for us. And it also, I was at the point that I wanted to give up on that person, and to be honest, I didn't resolve the issues, and I didn't figure out what was going on with him. But it helped to take a step back and to detach from my immediate reaction when I was receiving these messages, and to just see how I can objectively help this person. And seeing the story that you have, Cory, I'm wondering if you're open to share a little bit about what the type of work looked like to get yourself into a more positive attitude. Like when you had these dark times, what did it take you to pull yourself out of those?
I'm so glad you asked that. And I'm an open book about these things. There are some things recent that I edited out for a good reason, because I'm still healing from them. But so I had my divorce that year. I was going through my divorce, It took about a year to finalize everything that I was going through. And my attorney actually recommended I go see a therapist. I was not opposed to therapy. I'd been in therapy other parts of my life. By the way, I use the word counseling. I don't use therapy very often. Not that I'm opposed to therapy, because I want this to be so approachable for people. So counseling often is, at least in America, a little bit less, little bar to get over, But I walked into a counselor's office and ran through a battery of questions and said, hey, you're suffering from depression. And that was just like cold water in my face. Me, superhero, me suffering? No. Well, I mean, the reality was yes. And probably numerous times in my life had been a consistent theme and gone untreated or on, awareness of what I was actually dealing with. So I met with my counselor now, or then, I think probably almost every week for months, and then I'd spread them out as we got through. But that was a critical part of that. The other part, to your point too, is the trusted, I think you said this earlier, whatever. I think about this circle, very small circle of people that I trust, that I can disclose. Here's what's actually going on in my life. To me, it was my parents at first, and very, very dear friends. And here's the metric metric in question that I use to determine who are those people I share more things happening down the iceberg, is they are the people that when the bad stuff happens, the mess happens, the fires in life, they're the people that run in to your life when everybody else rushes out. People that run in when everybody else flees the scene. And so, that with eventually counselor was bedrock, professionally licensed counselor. There's some things I wanted to disclose to my parents or my friends, but they weren't, professionally trained to help me cope or move through those. And that's where a therapist counselor came into. Second is dear trusted circle of friends. Third, a year later, I got into an organization called Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, and was placed in a forum. It's an offline forum, by the way, of 7 or 8 men and women who were entrepreneurs like me. Life-saving. All of that was life-saving and changing. I don't walk alone ever again. I just met, as I mentioned yesterday, every 2 weeks now I meet with my counselor. Now I've added in a coach, which I think helps tune me up, get me clear. A group of like-minded, similar people with similar values that we just share life with. For the last 10 plus years, I've done that and believe in it so strongly. I help curate that in certain circles of my life and business. Those 3 things, bedrock, a group of, for instance, for the entrepreneurs, like it was hard for me. I talk about my business to my parents, or like you said, Picha, earlier, like to my parents when I sold my company. My parents have worked for other people the bulk of their career. Nothing at all wrong with that. So respect their body of work they put into the world. I chose a different path. They don't understand. When I sold, they haven't had those type of things. When I sold my business for what I never thought I'd be able to get in my life, so I could potentially purchase this small cold island in Scotland. So that's entrepreneurship, as you all know, is a very isolating gig to have. So that's why I add in as an entrepreneur a group of like-minded entrepreneurs that get it, that are willing to let the shields down, take off the mask, and share their life with each other. Fantastic question. I hope I helped with that answer. That's how I do it today.
Well,
and also, so I'm sorry. Also, one last thing. I'd be remiss. A partner that gets me, that loves me, a best friend. I'm married. My wife's name is Lindsay. She is my partner in life. She is my first and foremost support. She wakes up with me. She ends her day with me. She is there for me, and have her support and love, absolutely critical and foundational to all of the other things I just mentioned. Sorry, Peach, I interrupted.
No, not at all. No, you didn't at all. So, so interesting. I've actually got quite a bit to say about that, but about the isolation thing. But one thing that is, I also back to the iceberg, just to remind people, the thing is that the heavy part is heavier and it will drag you down. So if you have this darkness in your life, your tendency will be to go lower and lower and deeper and deeper. Therefore, go seek help, because that help will get you back up out. It's quite hard to do it on your own, because the deep dark part is heavier. And if you don't, if anyone is watching and wondering and thinking, well, I've got nowhere to go. Well, you do, because there's Big Orange Heart. And even just, you don't need to pay anything. It's free. Just join the Slack channel. That is huge for me. I have, we've mentioned it various times, obviously, over the course of these webinars, but it's not just, it's completely true. You can, first of all, look for organizations similar to what Cory was saying, because there are more than you think, but then you've got Big Orange Heart and you really do have it. And because you can join the Slack channel anytime, and there's people there from all over the world and it's a completely safe environment, and you will feel much less lonely. Because when I moved here from London 4 years ago, and I am a loner. I'm a solitary person. I really love, I'm very sociable and I have lots of friends. I have lots of close friends, but generally speaking, I'm very happy on my own. I'm probably maybe happier. I introvert, I need to measure, I have time when I need to be alone. So when I moved here to a city where I didn't know anyone, I thought, yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah, great. Finally, I can be on my own. But I had completely underestimated how isolated I would be, because I had no reason to go out. I still have no reason particularly to go out, because I live on my roof, and I work from here, and I work remotely. I don't really work with Spain, so there's no need for me to go out. And it just hit me so hard, because also I'd lived in London for nearly 20 years, but also all my best friends are from there. I'd had friends there since, for 30 years. So suddenly I sort of completely given up my life, because that's the way I roll. I will just do it. I just go, right, okay, time to go, get the cats in the car and drive over. That's kind of what I did, because it's like, yeah, London, bye. But it's not a regret, but it's just a reality that you just don't know. And that sometimes when I tell people, they go, how is that possible? You? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. So again, you just don't know what's going on below the surface. Over the surface, you see me, now it's way better. It's a million times better, because I know many more people, because I have created, actually, the first people that I sought here in Valencia were the WordPress people. They're my friends now. Whether I don't organize, well, there's no meetup now, obviously, but they're my friends. They're part of it. So I have circles of friends now. But what saved me was the good side of the internet. It was this. It was, my colleagues Jan and Lee. It was the WordPress London people. It was a big orange heart. My God, what they did for me. All the people all the accountability friends. I have at least 2 or 3 people that I see regularly, some of them at least once a week for years now. And we meet up regularly, and we tell each other about our week, and we say, okay, that works, that doesn't work. What do you set an intention for next week? It's so important. Someone that is there for you the way you're there for them. So this thing that people will help you out, do not think that you're alone, because really you are not. What you will need to do is the initial effort, because also people maybe, especially if they don't know, because you haven't told them, they won't know that they need to come and rescue you. So
exactly.
Do that. Just say, hi, yes, please, I'm alone. Just do that. And it will, it just don't do it alone. I mean, this is the most important message out of all of it. And I'm coming up for breath.
Can I take a poll? I want to take a poll of Jan and Picha, and then people listening. Can I take a poll?
Yes, of course.
Tell me, are you better at giving help or receiving help?
Okay.
Are you better at giving help or receiving help? And I bet you I know what it is.
Yeah.
And I wonder if people are in the comments. Answer 2. Are you better at giving help or receiving help?
For me, it's definitely better at giving.
I can confirm that Jan is very good at giving help. Very, very good at giving help. I have got a bit better at asking for it, as Jan may know, because he's helping me.
And that is making me feel good. I just give help for selfish reasons. Because exactly. I feel good about helping others. But I see the point you are making here, Cory, because if we are not receiving help, and if we aren't able to also ask for help, then there is this imbalance that is going on. And it's easy to get into this rat race of just giving, without looking inside and seeing what's actually going on in myself.
I'm curious what other people say too, but I'd bet, if I bet my dinner, it's giving, because it feels, it's like you said, it feels good, right? Yeah. Asking my first, I'm just sharing my experience, does not feel good instantly. However, to your point, Peter, you've gotten better at it, that when I am able to ask, I allow people the joy of entering my life, of being a part of my life. And I'm still a work in progress on the asking for help, but the times I've been able to ask, it was one of the first times in my life during my whole divorce and this whole thing we're talking about, the iceberg. My dad sent me this text message, and Dad and I, my parents have been divorced since I was 3. We had some strained relationships when I was a kid and in young adult, and right after college kind of started to have really a relationship. He sent me a text message when I was just saying, I'm face down on the ground and I'm being drugged. Send me a text message saying, I love you and I love who you are as a man in this world. I screenshotted that text message. I would have never, had I not reached out and said, Dad, I'm hurting, never had the opportunity to feel that, And so it's this dichotomy, but I'm much still better at giving. I'll give you all. I just met you. You asked me something. I want to give and give. But the time when I have to ask is the toughest for me. It's something I would continually have to get over myself. So I wanted to take that poll. I love your answer too, Peter, that you've gotten better. Me too.
Well,
I'm still learning. I'm still in the beginning stages.
You got a way to go, Jan. But it's just that you learn because you realize, you get to a point in your life where you realize that it's survival. And for you was that then at that time, and for me was when 4 years ago and 3 years ago, and 2 years ago, and that's when you realize that you do need to do that, otherwise your survival is at stake, and it's not worth it, because it really isn't. Without minimizing anything that anybody is feeling, but it does get better. There is a better way. It is possible. And I say that because, Cory, you were saying that you never, it was the first time that it had happened to you, but I had it happen to me at other times. And therefore I'm a bit more used to it. And I can confirm that it does get better. There's always a way out. And there are also exercises and things that we can do to keep on top of the ice. And you've got some for us, Cory, don't you?
Yeah. I took some of these from my, reading in my own life. But, today I know there's someone that's listening to this or listen to the recording that's hurting. That's feeling something down beneath the water in their iceberg. And I want to say first, before I mention these couple of exercises, is please take a moment and reach out to someone. Please. There are people that love you. They're the people that run in when others rush out. They're the people that are going to be there today, tomorrow, and the next day. And not me, I can't prescribe this, but there's something you need to do today. Make a phone call, send a text message, send an email. Find a counselor. And I would implore you, as a fellow human, having been through tough times too, is that please do that. Please. Too many of us suffer in silence, suffer in the alone when we're meant to live in the together. Take an action for your own self. Allow someone else to give and you to receive. So with that, you asked specifically, Picha. So the exercise part of the iceberg post is three things you're thankful for. Grounding in gratitude, everything, the science, always ground in 3 things you're thankful for. I can tell you today, I'm thankful for the 4 people out there. My father-in-law, who we're staying with this week to help him. He's had a bout with illness. My wife, my 2 children. I'm thankful for this. So there's 4, I guess, if I counted right. The other is, who is your support team? Who are the people everything goes wrong, life is turned upside down and shaken? Who are the people that are going to stay there, who are going to be there, who are going to want to say, how are you doing today? Check in on you, rush into your life. And the bottom of the iceberg is, what are those things that are dragging you down that you need to work on? You need help. You need a professional, licensed counselor to help you walk with. Those things that have been agitating, just been, causing consistent problems in your life that you need to work on, that you need the help of a professional to guide you. A huge proponent of professional counseling. And I shared that just yesterday at 10:30, I was on with my counselor. And so what's keeping you up at night? What's causing you heartburn? What are the things that are dragging you down, that are slowing you down, that are just eating at your life that you need help with? And those things, I would say, make a phone call, send a text message, an email, whatever you need to do to take action on that and to stop suffering in silence and solitude.
But so much about this, but the gratitude thing is it really is, it's so big. And it's, when I first moved here, and at that time where I described that was so hard, it saved me, because you can always find something to be grateful for. And I know there's some people who say, no, there are people in really, truly, truly, truly terrible situations. But again, the deep end will only drag you down. the surface. The gratitude lives on the surface, and just find that one thing. Maybe you're literally in the ditch and the sun comes out. Look at that. Be grateful for that. And I mean, it is scientifically proven to work, literally, because there's also a lot that could be said about other technique that someone can use. But yeah, so I think the gratitude exercise, I completely subscribe to that. I spent a good half hour this morning, actually, on that. So yeah, it worked.
It's the easiest thing.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to do, yet sometimes the hardest, especially when you're going through the darkness. Just to go, wait, what am I thankful for? Start somewhere, anywhere. The sun is out today.
And also, you find people really annoying. They tell you, be grateful. You're like, what do you mean? I want to be. What I mean is, I definitely used to be like that. I was like, you don't know how I feel. There's the part, the misery pants that wants to stay miserable.
There's a fantastic comment from Heinrich. Our mind is not happy asking for help, maybe fearing the answer. That is certainly true for me, and that it's also partially that, and partially it's ego driven, because I don't want to admit that I have to ask for help, which is the stupidest thing in the world if you think about it, because you are keeping yourself stuck in the situation that you are in that is making you miserable. But it takes practice to discover that you are actually sabotaging yourself.
The mind does play those tricks with us too, and we think that we've got the world in our hands, and we got all this, and we've done all of this. Like, there's no such thing as a self-made person, because we were born into care. Think about this. You were absolutely helpless. We spend the rest of our life fighting against the fact that we need people, but we're born helpless. We need changing of our diapers. We need feeding. We need the warmth of love and whole, being held in an embrace, and yet we spend the rest of our lives fighting against it.
That's so true. I see that firsthand with my daughter right now. She's 14 weeks old, and it's the most beautiful experience ever if you can embrace that. And you are so right with that. It's these human connections that keep us flourishing.
Congrats, Jan, on is this your first child?
Yeah.
Congrats. Oh, you're in such for another roller coaster. I remember seeing my children and learning so much from my children, my baby infants, and you're in for such a journey. And again, I would say, you stack just life in general, then you stack business, then you stack parenthood. The only job I've consistently felt like every single day I failed at. But with that, congratulations. You're in for the joy.
Thanks for the encouraging words.
That's encouraging.
There's nothing like being a parent. I tell you what, nothing like being a parent on the face of the earth.
Changes perspective of everything, and it also helped me with asking for help more. And to circle back to this conversation, it helped me to work on myself. Even when I knew my wife was pregnant, I immediately started working on myself because I wanted to be the role model for my daughter. So I started meditating, I started journaling. I'm not the most consistent person in the world with this, but that doesn't matter. I'm practicing the work every now and then, and I'm meditating maybe 4 or 5 times a week. But it's about that progress, I feel, and leading by example rather than just talking the talk, which became much more important to me.
So I am at 626 consecutive days, 29,000.2 minutes, but that's also yoga in that. And I think 982 total days of meditation. That is incredible.
Oh
I know.
Gosh.
I used to, when I remember when I was a friend who first told me you should meditate. Out of all the people I know, you should meditate. And I was like, that is impossible. What is that? No way, never going to happen. That was, I think, 30 years ago or more. And now I can't imagine not doing it. I just can't imagine it. It's extraordinary what it does. So do you meditate, Cory? Have you tried that?
I wish I did more often. It's one of those practices scientifically backwards and forwards shut case for the benefits. I don't as much as I would like to. I would say once a month I probably averaged doing it. But one practice I have done through my counselor is being mindful, trying to be mindful from everything from how I eat to the fact that I'm on with two people that get mental health, to being present with my children and my family. So they're open and shut. I wish I did more. I want to be aspirational, but I wish I did. I wish I could say 666 days. That is incredible. It's open and shut. Gratitude, sleep, physical health, what you're saying with mindfulness and meditation, those are open and shut cases for incredible health practices. We should all, it's a should for me. I just don't practice it enough.
Well, it's not, it takes time to build up a practice. I definitely, it took me a while to get up to that. It takes time. The thing is, I would say try and do it more than once a month, because once you try that, once you manage to establish a practice, it's addictive. And I would say, actually, I would go as far as saying, I'm an ex-smoker, and it's quite funny how radically you can change. I mean, I feel like I've reprogrammed myself because I was a I was a dedicated smoker. And there is a relationship, because it's the same way that now, before I got started, to me, you could not chain me to a chair for 5 minutes, let alone 20, a complete ADHD, like crazy all over the place. Just, you couldn't have done that. And I could not see the benefits. Same thing with cigarettes. I used to say, only thing is lobotomy or decapitation. That's the only way I would stop smoking. And guess what? Now I can't stand if someone smokes 100 meters away. So we can change ourselves radically. With meditation, I think that the best thing is to tell yourself, I'm going to do it every day. Then if you don't do it every day, it's fine. You don't give yourself a hard time about it, because self-love is really important, and we all need to learn it. But even if you do it, you go up to once a week, and then it becomes 3 days a week, and then it becomes 4, and you use an app like this one that gives you badges and stars. I love it. I can't let the app down now. I cannot let the app down. And then you start seeing the benefits, and you start, then it becomes a good addiction. Like, to me now, that's how the day starts. If you think about it, you would never not brush your teeth or not wash your face. To me, it's now the same. Unless I'm getting up at 4:30 because we're going on a hike somewhere far, then I just do it. It's just, so I would, anyone out there listening, I would recommend that you try. But it doesn't matter. We need to be nice to ourselves. It doesn't matter if it takes you 2-3 years to build up a practice. Is completely normal. But I sort of slightly derailed. But
I want to hone in on that point of self-love, because I am the best in the world at beating myself up. And I think it is actually common amongst entrepreneurs and developers. Like you said, these really, really ridiculously high standards for yourself, because you are, again, comparing to what other people are doing in this space, who are from entirely different backgrounds, have entirely different experiences in education, yet you match yourself against those, and you set these high expectations that are doomed to fail. The best example for me is when I start a new routine and I try to build a meditation routine, for example. I try 7 days a week for 30 minutes per day, instead of doing maybe 5 minutes per day. So that is the level I can go to when I try to do something new, or when I'm building something in WordPress. I try to do it the best way I can, rather than going for the 90% solution that is perfectly fine for all the use cases I'll ever throw at what I'm building. So the self-love topic is really near and dear to my heart.
Classic overachiever as an entrepreneur, Jan. Classic.
Classic. I mean, 30 minutes is hard going. I can do it now.
I can't do that. I do usually 10, and then I'm done.
But that's great. 10 is brilliant. 10 is fantastic. Yeah, because you do that, and then obviously it doesn't work, and then you beat yourself up because you couldn't do 30 from 0 to 30. It's like
it's a cycle. Yeah.
Basically, like everything else, it's a muscle that you build up. In the same way, you wouldn't do 50 push-ups if you've never done one in your life. At the same time,
I do have a good story about that.
Love to hear.
I would really want to hear push-ups.
6 years ago, I was in the best physical shape of my life. I was doing this freeletics routine. Usual workout would be 200 squats, 300 burpees, 200 push-ups, around 50 pull-ups. And it would take me around 1.5 to 2 hours to complete that. I would be completely wasted. And I did that 2 times a week for 12 weeks straight. And that definitely got me some results. And I was in the best shape possible. But to bring the bridge to the business aspect of things, you can only take the hustle so far, and you can only get so far with pushing yourself over the limits. And then 2 months ago, I tried to do that one workout again from that training program. And the first workout the training starts with is 200 push-ups, 80 crunches, 200 squats. And I thought, how bad can it be? Well, I pushed through it. I did 50 push-ups straight and then 150 on my knees because I wasn't physically in the shape to do that. The squats and the crunches actually weren't that bad, but the push-ups really broke me, and I couldn't do a single straight push-up for 1.5 months because I completely destroyed my chest muscles. I actually had this blue spot on my chest where I saw that the muscle was torn and blood was filling. That is how far you can push yourself when you are in such a rut. When the mind is not seeing what you're actually doing, you can physically harm yourself in trying to achieve something good.
That's also why we need other people, because we need to tell us what we can't see anymore because we're too close to it. Proximity blindness. You need other people to tell you.
Yes, that's a great point.
So, Cory, sorry.
No.
I was just going to ask what other favorite exercises to keep on top of the ice you would recommend. So we said quite a few, and we've all got our own, and we can all learn from each other, which is great.
The bedrock one I would say I have clung to is just having my counselor. We met last fall, having some things going through, and needed to have a weekly cadence, and so we did. And then have moved now to twice a week. Every 2 weeks. And I'll tell you, I don't know if there's a time where I want that to change. I think there's times where I go, oh, everything's good, everything's sunshine. And it's one of the reasons why I mentioned having a therapist is because when life does happen and you get hit with something, Jan, I remember when we had our first, kid as well, and going, I was so glad to have a relationship with a therapist that I could say, can we come in and talk? That familiarity, not having to start from scratch. So my therapist, we may push him out a little bit further, but the ability to push him back in too is key. I haven't during COVID, but a couple years ago, really doubled down on this whole physical health thing. To your point, Jan, I could never do 150 push-ups, but even on my knees, but started to run. And so a couple months ago, my kids, we all got bikes and have done some really cool bike rides. In fact, we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma now at my father-in-law's place. And there's a lake here, and I'm going to go with the kids, and we're going to explore bike riding. So that's something new. A way to have time with my family, quality time, and to get in some health benefit.
Nature.
Nature's, oh man, so nice to be out there. And if you can get the blood flowing and everything like that. But the bedrock being having a professional I can call who, like I've said, Thanksgiving here in America, when you all get together as a family, you don't have to also say pass the cranberries, you know, where you can, that's one thing about the below the iceberg. Like I can tell my therapist, I can dump everything out. Some things I may curate because either they're not equipped to handle it or can't handle that with even my inner circle. So the one other thing I mentioned about the groups is something I need to redo. I left my EO forum group for the first time in 10 years this summer. I've got partners in all of my projects, so I feel like I have camaraderie, but I need to get a more formal, it's something I'll just say out loud. I need a more formal group of people I'm meeting with at least once a month, compare notes, highs and lows. The other thing I want to say real quick, Picha, is to your point, like both of you had things I wanted to virtual high five you. Jan, you're having a child, and Picha, 660 some odd days. That's another thing. You should be able to share in the comfort of that inner circle the highs, to be able to say, I closed this deal. I'm starting this project. We just hit this number. This thing happened. I've got friends in that circle. They didn't have people in their lives they could have the virtual high five where no one expected something from them. A dear friend of mine had the opportunity to be at the ringing of the bell in the stock exchange. We're sitting there in lunch a couple years ago. I'm like, to my friend, I won't say his name, but like, well done. High five, man. Like, that is a cool moment. I didn't want anything from him other than to be his friend. We need those moments too as entrepreneurs to celebrate those highs. The stuff that is above that we should be able to, might be called bragging to other people, but be able to high five.
Absolutely. It couldn't agree more. It's part of the self-love. We need to be able to celebrate and tell ourselves, well done, you know, pat ourselves on the back, whatever, even the tiniest thing. It doesn't need to be a huge thing. It can be anything. But Cory, you're a serial entrepreneur, and you were mentioning, I don't know if you can tell us about it, but you said it earlier, and I'm really intrigued. You said basically, maybe that's all you can say, but you were involved in some mental health project. Are you? Can you tell us more? Do you need to kill me now? That's all?
No. When we set out, and I can't announce the name just yet because we're still finalizing some dotting T's and crossing I's. But when I set out in 2019, one path I was going to always chase was mental health and how I could apply my entrepreneurial skills, business experiences to mental health industry, which is woefully behind technologically, by the way, as you all know. And by the way, I want to say thank you to Cloudways for supporting this conversation, for supporting organizations like a Big Orange Heart that does incredible work in the world. And it's been a year and a half almost, or over a year and a half, as I set on that journey. And over the summer was approached by some great entrepreneurs that have been working in mental health for a number of years. And we've got a project coming out in October that I'm so excited to announce. But just to know, it's coming. And I want the Cloudways team to be one of the first to know. But what I think is the next 10 years of my body of work in the world and life change. And the more and more I get older, the more I want life change, and profit will come with it. If you pair profit and purpose, in fact, the equation is start with purpose, profit will come. They're two integral parts that shouldn't be neglected in any business formula. But I'm so excited in the next couple of weeks to be able to announce that mental health initiative and startup that I'm working on.
Can't wait to hear. We need to book you in actually for when you can announce it. Yeah, we need to talk about that. That would be amazing.
Please,
Great.
I love that.
Wow. So if Lee were here, I'll let you say it, Jan. What's going to happen now? Where are we coming to?
We are coming into land.
Oh, Lee, how we miss you, but he's blissfully happy. So just a quick, before we do come into land, just a really quick recap. So happy, Cory. I may say, speak for both of us, had a wonderful time. And just as a quick recap for everyone, Cory came here to talk to us about his metaphor of life as an iceberg and what it means for all of us, and how we often feel dragged down by the deep end, but it doesn't have to be like that. We can all re-emerge to the surface. Cory was completely open, telling us about how he did that, and it's people, gratitude, mindfulness, meditation, people. Don't go it alone. You're not alone. This, I think, is the main message that we would like to get out there. Big orange heart, guys, also for that.
BigOrangeHeart.org. Yeah.
Yes. Great. So are you saying that or am I? Now that we're coming into land, we're saying goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you again very soon. Can't thank you enough, Cory. Oh, no, how to get in touch with us. See, I was
Exactly.
Lee. Sorry.
Yes. Please go. The best way is my website, CoryMiller.com, CoryMiller.com. You can hit my contact form, reach out, and also on Twitter. Well, you can get all my stuff there at my website.
Perfect. Great. Jan, what about you?
The WP Mastery Facebook group is the best way to get in touch.
Also, Jan has got a fantastic summit coming up very soon, so do check that out because I'm sure there's mental health stuff in there as well, isn't there?
Yep. Yeah, I just recorded with Diane Wallace from Big Orange Heart today.
Fantastic. And I am Piccionari, and you can find me if you can spell my name, Piccia. That's it, because you'll find me everywhere on Twitter as well. I'm Piccia. My Facebook group, Design for Geeks, or my website, designforgeeks.com. Thank you so much. Shall we do it or not, Jan?
Yeah, let's do it.
The cheesy wave. Okay.
We have to do the cheesy wave, Cory.
This is what Lee does, Cory. We don't like it, but now that he's not here, we're honoring him by doing it.
And Lee lets us wave for like 5 minutes, but I'll be gracious and I'll stop the broadcast.